Hey, we got one inside the northwest east corner.
At that point in time, I realized this was a very serious situation. There's a child in that house.
What do you think happened, Jay?
I'm not telling you, fire. That's all I know.
Okay, but we know that's not the case. Things weigh on you. I get that. We're both parents. We
do not understand what weighs on me.
What's the address of your emergency?
It's not my house, it's my neighbor's home. It's on fire.
Do you know if anyone's home?
Yeah, they're home.
Right. If you want to go over and talk to them, make sure everyone's out of the house. And
I can't. I don't need to see them.
Okay, where do you see flames?
The whole house is on fire.
Once we arrived on the scene, no lights on the roads or anything, and to see the big bright orange light in the sky, it definitely got my attention and woke me up fast. As I was running up, I caught out of the corner of my eye as I was running by. I saw the silhouette of a person off to my right as I was running up. He said that his boy was in the house. At that point in time, I realized this was a very serious situation. You know, there's a child in that house.
I can't get in there, there's no way. Oh, there's no way. I don't know if we're gonna get the trucks up here.
The homeowner, Ernest Franklin, points to where his adopted son, Jeffrey, or JR, is trapped inside the house.
In the back room, sleeping. Oh, taking fire. How old is the person?
No location in Shermer. Has gone to the north.
I can't get to him. I tried to run on the other side, I can't even get close.
Jeffrey, he never had parents of his own. He comes to our house and it was a complete change for him. Everybody loved him, so it was worth it to everybody. And there was an opportunity for Jeffrey to have his own parents. And we asked him, you know, do you want to stay here with Uncle Ted and Aunt Jen, or do you want a mommy and daddy all of your own? And he said he wanted a mom and dad all of his own. It was difficult, not wanting to let him go. We loved him, but we also were taking comfort in he's going to get his own parents. He deserves his own parents.
JR went to bed around 8:39. And we started a movie. We watched that at over 10:30 or so. Wife had to go get some pregnancy meds. I started firing with stove. And went to let one of the dogs out. Both got out. That went to go track the dogs down and drag them back home. Came back down over the hill. Fire in the living room. I went to try to get JR out and couldn't, so I ran down to the neighbors. They called. What's concerning about it is that you start to wonder, you know, why isn't this guy injured, partially burned? Usually people go back into the house, they're injured, they're burned, or sometimes even they die themselves trying to recover children.
Once the fire is out, the firemen make a heart-wrenching discovery.
One of the first things we found was actually the bed springs, and then we eventually ended up finding Jeffrey's body. We found him laying on the mattress as though he was sleeping. It's something you never forget, and it takes a toll on everybody that's there.
Detectives start by speaking with Jeffrey's adopted mother, Heather.
I learned that Heather was down at the neighbor's house, and obviously we needed to get a statement from her, and so I made my way down there, made contact with her.
Heather describes her evening in the hours leading up to the fire.
I went out to Walmart, I want to say like 11-ish maybe, and then I went to Price Chopper.
Okay.
Because I was back, I forgot to get the Benadryl, which was one of the main things I needed to help sleep. Picked up some Life cereal, I didn't like the prices, and I kept thinking about this baby blanket I seen at Walmart too, so we went back to Walmart. Did that stuff. she used the term all hell broke loose. Came home to a nightmare. I started asking everybody, are they over here? Are they over here? And I finally made it up the driveway. As you know, the driveway is really steep. And two, being pregnant and already flipping out and being upset because I wasn't getting answers. And a fireman finally came down to me. I was like, I'm looking for my boys. I'm looking for my husband, my son. He's like, well, your husband is over there. I was like, okay, great. Where's my son? And that's when they told me he was unaccounted for. And I seen the house and it was like practically flat at that point.
Heather was visibly upset. You know, she was crying. She was emotional. She was pregnant with her child. You know, that brings a whole nother level of emotions into play. She just lost a house and lost a child.
It's a somber moment for Ernest and Heather Franklin.
Heather, she was just sobbing and crying. I can't imagine, you know, having one of my children in a house on fire. The fear, the panic, the absolute terror. Ernie was Ernie. He was very quiet and subdued. He was really, like, not there. He really had this kind of far off look on his face. And there was just nothing there. It was just dry.
Detectives need to know more about what happened on the night of the fire. They start by speaking with Ernest's neighbor, Dominic Gildersleeve.
Sorry about that, guys. That's okay. Come on in. Dog's not gonna bite, right? No.
Ernie's my friend, you know. There's some things I'm not comfortable story-wise that aren't.
Just tell us what you think.
Why did he come down here to call 911 to try to save us?
How do you know that's the case?
I can only assume. I don't know. Because, again, with being able to see how clear it was that it was on fire, how far away was he?
Right.
To not know that it was on fire.
But then, Dominic mentions something else that could explain Ernest's odd behavior.
Now, have you had any conversations with him in regards to what happened before or after?
No, I have not talked to him about any details because, and with him having PTSD, I'm not triggering him. I just not, you know.
And how do you know he has PTSD?
This is what Ernie's always told me. Even fireworks set him off. He can't be around fireworks. When we had fireworks out here, he actually had to drive away because that was too much for him.
Then, 2 days after the fire, investigators receive a call from the medical examiner.
I was told there were some concerns. For one, there was a lack of soot in the trachea and the bronchi of Jeffrey, in the mouth and the tongue. It didn't match up with that he died in the fire. Also, the lack of carboxyhemoglobin in Jeffrey's body told us that he wasn't breathing when the fire took place. Given the information from the autopsy, we knew that Jeffrey was dead before the fire. So my conversation with the pathologist resulted in it going from a fire investigation to a homicide investigation. So the person we would look at first and who would be leaning towards the most would be Ernest. We wanted to find out why he didn't try to get into the house.
Investigators start by speaking with Ernest's parents.
Sorry we have to be here under these kind of circumstances. Sorry that you guys are going through all this. Definitely not something, you know, we wish upon anybody, that's for sure.
So we wanted to just see what Ernest was like as a child, what has it been like the last couple of years, what's his interaction between Heather and Jeffrey. We wanted to see the household as a whole and Ernest as a person.
You know, we're not going through as much as you might think. No. Because I'd want to see that boy 5 times, if that, the last 6-7 years.
And you guys are, what, 5 miles away?
My boy had problems when he came back from the service.
Now, what branch was he in?
Army.
He was in the Army, okay. How many years was he in? Quite a few, or?
Oh, a year and a half. Yeah, a year and a half.
Just regular infantry, or what did he?
No, I'm really not sure. He said he went to Iraq.
Did act different when he came back from when he went in?
Yeah, he acted different.
Are you angry, or I mean, what kind of?
He was angry, yeah. He was angry. He punched holes in the wall.
Ernest's parents had said that he had told them that he was over in Iraq. They didn't really know the specifics, but the only thing they did mention is that he definitely came back different. Is it the fact that Heather's pregnant now? But they've been trying for years to have their own kid, and now this new baby comes along and the old kid's kind of out and the new kid's in. So we just don't know for sure, but we're starting to kind of see a picture at this point.
Growing increasingly suspicious of Ernest, detectives invite him down to the station for further questioning.
He can say that he did not die in the fire. When people die in the fire, there's a lot of evidence. You have soot that you're breathing in, right? And carbon monoxide in your blood builds up, and that's what kills you. It's not usually the heat, it's not the flames, it's smoke inhalation. And 2 ways they know smoke inhalation: soot in your mouth, in your nose, in your trachea, and in your lungs, and a carbon monoxide level in your blood that's high. JR had none of that. He had no soot, he didn't breathe in any soot, and his carbon monoxide level is what ours are now. Okay, which indicates that he's not breathing in at the time the smoke gets to him in his room. And the only reason he's not breathing in when the smoke gets there is because he's not breathing at all. He's already dead. Something happened to JR. You're right, I'm not you. What I'm saying
You don't
is,
even know why I got into foster care.
I don't. Why don't you tell me why?
Because I shot a kid in Afghanistan. Mother and son. So the one way I gave back was doing foster care, and he came along. From day one, I wanted to adopt him.
We had already obtained his military records, and we knew what he was stating wasn't the truth. He'd never had any combat time in Afghanistan.
Since Ernest isn't talking, investigators need to build their case against him a different way. So they turn to his wife, Heather.
Don't sell yourself out because you're trying to protect him. You're going to end up with your back in the corner.
Don't take the fall for him if you know something, or don't leave anything out. Let's just say that. Don't leave anything out. Don't leave
Protect
anything out.
EJ.
Because when he's on that stand and he's in the hot seat, he's going to tell more of the truth. And if he indicates anything of your involvement or your knowledge, as long as you tell us ahead of time.
We
Okay,
cooperate
I'm
with
just
him.
saying. And we're just trying to confirm your story.
He doesn't care about you. You can protect your baby.
She just was trying to sidestep questions. She was trying to avoid answering questions by asking for bathroom breaks. So we had to take it to the next step, figure out what truly took place. Okay, Heather, this is a Shannon County Sheriff's Office search and seizure waiver. Okay, basically this is going to allow me or us, the state police and the sheriff's office, to get from your vehicle your cell phone. Okay? So we executed the search warrant on the truck. We found some extremely valuable evidence. We did not expect to find a portable GPS unit in the truck that would basically just discredit her entire story.
Sheriff's detectives in Shenango County, New York, have questioned Ernest Franklin about the death of his adopted son, Jeffrey, but have gotten nowhere. And after speaking with Ernest's wife, Heather, they have uncovered a GPS in the couple's truck.
After taking the GPS unit that was in the vehicle, once you started looking at it and once you started seeing it time-stamped and gave a location of everywhere that vehicle went that night, there was some shocking revelations that we were all like, oh my goodness, what did we just see? So it did start by showing her leaving the residence that night. About the time that she said, it does show her showing up to Walmart at the time she said, but then the real bombshell for us, and the one that we were kind of taken back by, was the fact that after leaving Walmart, she goes back to the residence and sits there for approximately 5 or 6 minutes at the residence. So then the vehicle starts back up. She goes to another store after that. And that totally disproved her stories previously. She said she never went by the house, never was around the house.
So as of 3/14, you're under arrest.
Detectives also arrest Ernest and charge both parents with second-degree murder in the death of their adopted son, Jeffrey.
After arresting Heather and Ernest that day, there was no doubt in our mind they were both equally involved in committing this crime. There are people out there that do things that other people wouldn't even fathom of doing. And why they did that, we may not ever completely know the truth.
In March 2019, news cameras photograph Ernest in court as the guilty verdict is read aloud. He is sentenced to 21 years to life in prison. Almost 1 month later, on the day before her trial, Heather pleads guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter and arson.